hierarchy. I'll do it after this session.
Yeah,
In
we
this
would
group.
While
love
we
to.
wait, you can
Yeah.
do it, sir.
Pardon?
I'm anyway recording it, so
Ah,
maybe we should complete your essay and then get into this book. By then, others may.
okay, I'll put it here. So it's not here. One second. Yeah, I've sent it. It's a Word document.
Yeah, I'm just opening it.
First sentence itself is like so gripping. And telling elephant how to be strong.
This I wrote 2 years ago to my family group, my extended family group.
Oh, that's nice.
One sec, sir. Just because I can extend the size and all that, I'm just trying.
Mm.
One sec. Why it is not saving as PDF?
Oh, that I should do it, I think. I don't know. Unless you
I
can
can
save
do
it
it.
and
I
save
can
it.
do it. I can do it.
Yeah, you should be able to save it as PDF.
Yeah. No, I'm not. Yeah.
Maybe you go to edit mode. Maybe it's only read mode.
No, no,
Maybe it's only in
no,
reading
no,
mode.
no, no. I've done it.
Uh,
Let me just go and see. Okay. One sec. Yes, sir. Here it is.
uh,
Yeah. It always. Bala ma'am, you want to read it?
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
So it always amuses. Oh, this is the article by Jagdish sir
yes,
and women's.
yes.
It always amuses me when men speak of women and women empowerment. It is like an ant advising and encouraging and encouraging an elephant to be big and strong. Please note that nature has endowed the female species with all power because her interest is in the propagation of the species. The male is only incidental to the propagation because nature wanted an external gene to sustain the chain through several generations. Will Durant has a very informative chapter on this in his book, Pleasures of Philosophy. You have all seen how a mother cat or a mother dog ferociously protects her litter from the male and strangers. Where does this power come from? The blue whale gives birth in the South Pacific and then swims with her progeny all the way to the North Atlantic regions, having to fend off armies of male whales wanting to make a meal of the baby whale to protect from those. When we men wake up in the morning with a headache and cold, we make a fuss about it and expect the mother or wife to nurse us. Have you ever come across a situation where a wife takes off from making your breakfast just because she has a headache and fever? Our ancient thinkers recognized this and hence offered sobriquet Shakti.
Subricate.
Oh, sobriquet.
Subricate.
That is okay. Shakti to the feminine goddess Lakshmi, Saraswati, and Parvati. When one suffers from a major illness, it is feminine divinity in the form of Ma or Amma that is invoked for a cure. Aren't we then big hypocrites when we regard men superior and dominate and suppress women all through history today? Why this hypocrisy exists is a matter of a different debate, as there are several excuses and theories to it. We are all aware of the sex discrimination at birth in India. I am mentoring fellows, students of an IIMB immersive program in 3 districts of Haryana now, and I was shocked to know that the gender ratio there is about 800 women per 1,000 men. In her research study published in May You Be the Mother of 100 Children, Elizabeth Buemiller found that not only female foeticide, but the highest amount of bridge burning takes place in Tamil Nadu. This hypocrisy of referring to women as Shakti but treating them with contempt and perpetuating this cruel culture is not possible without the connivance and encouragement of women themselves. The contempt towards the woman is not restricted to India or the East only. In the West, at least they have been hypocrites, for they never gave women any high status except for except for Mother Mary. Spirited women like Joan of Arc were burnt at the stakes. Women were considered incapable of intellectual thinking. In the West, Greek philosophers like Plato, Socrates, etc., were exceptions and encouraged women students. So any woman that showed interest in science or mathematics was regarded as a witch. Let's go one more. Yeah. Hypatia was the daughter of a mathematician in the 4th century Greece. She did gain some recognition until one day when Cyril, the patriarch of Alexandria, took upon himself to condemn her and turn the masses against her. It is said that she was dragged out of her chariot on a fateful day, stripped naked and skinned to the bones using oyster shells in public. Oh my God. In the 17th century, Sophie Germain, the daughter of a wealthy merchant in France, was a mathematician and published many successful papers. In order to do that, however, she had to conceal her gender and borrow the name of a dropout mathematician of the university, Monsieur Anthony Auguste Leblanc. Then came a time when she had to reveal her identity to the famous mathematician Language, who fortunately
Lagrange.
gave her prominent. Sorry, mathematician Lagrange. Sorry. So he is the okay. So he is the on his name she was publishing.
No, she was publishing the name of Leblanc. Lagrange was a
Okay.
famous calculus mathematician.
Yeah.
Then came a time when she had to reveal the identity to the famous mathematician Lagrange, who fortunately gave her enough prominence. Very good. Women continued to occupy a lower strata in society in the West. It was the French philosopher and an existentialist Simone de Beauvoir who triggered the famous woman suffragette movement with her book, The Second Sex, where
No,
she
second sex.
charged.
D is missing. The second sex. The name of the book, Second Sex.
Oh, The Second Sex.
Second
Okay,
sex.
got it. There is no, yeah. The second sex where she charged women to take control and create their own lives. Then came Kate Miller with her sexual politics, demanding equality with men. And of course, German Greer in the early 80s with her The Female Eunuch, where which provoked women and to prevent being objectified. Unfortunately, modern society continues to objectify women as a commodity with the cooperation of women themselves. The time has come to ask why such dominance of the female gender has been happening despite acceding that they are by nature an empowered gender. An entire essay on this can become dissertation by itself. So suffice to touch upon it by drawing ideas from what scholars have written about it. From a purely biological point of view, the male species had to be physically stronger to ensnare the female for the process of propagation. From the sociological point of view, the male, like in all animals, must compete with other males. Therefore, once successful, he begins to possess her and preventing her from becoming accessible to rivals. This is one of the basic instincts that a Homo sapient continues to carry on. An interesting behavioral economics point of view that Tim Howard puts forward is that of division of labor. The male would spend most of his energy in cultivating and providing for the family in agriculture and going to work and bring home the bread in the modern industrial society. While female spent her energy in nursing the progeny and nurturing the family, particularly the provider. Over time, thanks to the dominance of the economic culture, the male became the primary entity, relegating the woman to be a subservient role. In the Indian villages, according to M.N. Srinivasan, there was little sign of male dominance with acceptance of division of labor model of society. So, how does one change this? With an interest to understand this phenomenon more deeply through reading, research, and contemplation, and for the woman to exercise her own empowerment, I do not mean the one with the help of a rolling pin that my wife keeps waving at me for amusement and a strong story about empowered women. I recommend you watch an enjoyable Kannada movie with subtitles called Kiragorina Halli Gayaligalu. Okay, available on YouTube. I believe it was in 1949, but was made into film just a few years ago. Thanks for reading this. Wow. So, yeah, there are so many things. It's amazing. Even though in the West, there is so much dominance, I mean, male dominance, but still in Indian villages, it's not like that.
Actually, I had a very nice
The entire society
chat with him.
is known by the name of the female, not the male.
Correct.
Male
In fact, I had a very
woman will recognize, not the locality.
Actually, I had a nice chat with M.S. Srinivasan before he passed away. I had invited him for a conference, and we had a very long time. And he told me a lot of. I don't know whether it was so well remembered. Is the name of the book, which he wrote manuscript. It got burnt in the fire, and whatever pulled up, he wrote that book. If you can get it, I don't know whether it's out of print or what. If I can manage to get hold of it, please read it. But when I had a talk with him, he told me a lot about this and what happens in villages. There's no discrimination at all, gender discrimination at all. But interestingly, there's a very recent book by this American researcher. Her name is Betty Friedan. She written the book called The Feminine Mystic, where she says the current trend in US and Europe is for highly educated women to become passive, accept patriarchy for their comfort.
Yeah.
She says actually there's a reversal.
My father had a beautiful saying. He says, I am the boss of the house and I have my wife.
I have a permission.
And I have my wife's permission to say so.
Yes.
Right. And in addition to that, he used to also add a second bit. He would say, I take all the major decisions in my house, and my wife takes all the minor decisions. What are the major decisions? Whether China should be part of UN or not is a major decision.
Yes.
Right? All unrelated decisions are minor decisions.
where we have to go to picnic, what we have to buy. All these are minor decisions for the wife.
Now, if we want a stronger, disciplined nation, right? The empowerment of the woman is not necessary. It's the only thing that will give it. Because the men are, beyond a particular point, they are useless. They are not consistent. They are not
Absolutely.
Right. And I mean, if someone says, how many sons do you have? I say, I have none. And I am happy about it. Because we have a very nice saying, right? A son is a son till he finds himself a wife. But a daughter is a daughter all her life. There is so much in that single saying. Right. And
I know that. I have only 2 daughters.
Yeah, no, I also have only 2 daughters. And
Me too. 2 daughters.
Wow.
it's again the daughter who took care of my parents. It is not the son.
Yeah. That's so true.
I know we do vent our frustration on the same species that we say they are to be more powerful, but even then, right, the reality doesn't change. It's a very nice article, sir. Very meaningful.
Yeah.
Excellent job.
Thank you, Varkara.
Only thing is, Indian villages, I heard that those men, they drink alcoholics. See, only that is the.
You should go to Northeast. I was regular to Shillong. I was a mentor to IIM Shillong. I used to be there quite some time. Men are absolutely useless there. It's a matriarchal society, right? Complete true matriarch, not like the Kerala matriarchal. For example, when a boy goes above 16, there will be criticism. Why he is still staying with the mother? He moves into the wife's house. Okay, and it's true, right? No, in the Kasi and the Goran tribes. So, in fact, there the moon is male, the sun is female. It's completely opposite of the rest of the kind of a thing. So, in a society like that, even the farms, etc., and the stores are looked after by only women. Men do nothing but sit on the footpath and smoke and drink.
The same is the case in Thailand. I went last summer. Most of the businesses, like small restaurants or eateries or whatever, run by females. And the men are actually doing nothing but smoking,
No,
as you're saying.
Thailand is worse. There's a beautiful book, an old book called I'm 13. It's very shocking, very, what shall I say, sad and tragic book. This girl has spoken to her psychiatrist later on in the years, when she moved to, etc., where even the brothers and fathers depend on the women there. They send the brother wants this particular girl wants a powerful Rolls bullet motorcycle, and she has to go to Bangkok and prostitute herself so that he can fund his motorcycle.
My God.
That is how bad it is.
It's pathetic. It's really pathetic. Yeah. So, ma'am, shall we continue?
Yep.
Sure.
Where did we stop? I think we can start with this.
Okay. Yeah. Each organ exists on a fourfold plan. The organ unit dwells through the whole organ and holds one cell unit, which is the cell link unit, around which the other cells of the organ are arranged and upon which they depend. So that means each cell becomes the specific cells, and it becomes one organ.
Yeah.
The cell link unit holds the form link unit of the organ. The cell link unit holds the form link unit of the organ. That form link unit of the organ holds the life link unit, and that holds the breath link unit of the organ. This is the chain.
So everything starts with the cell link unit that holds the form The form holds
Organ.
the life, and the life holds the
Breath.
breath link.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Around these four link units are grouped and held by each fleeting units of its own kind, and through the transient units pass the free units.
Correct. So what does that mean?
The cell units. So basically, fleeting units means free units.
Yeah, the free flowing, the ones. See, earlier he had explained, no, that the cell unit first appears in cell in some part, like the neck or whatever it is, whether it is the skin or it doesn't matter. Then it appears in some organ of the generative system, and its cell forms a part of the cell structure there. The unit
Okay.
changes its place from time to time until it has built and has functioned through the cell after cell in all parts of the generative system. That means it is still in the path to form something before it will go and lodge. Then the cell unit travels while it keeps on organizing and reorganizing its physical cells through the respiratory, circulatory, and the digestive systems. And in each of them, it occupies successively all parts in the organs except that of an organ unit. Okay. Then instead of moving from place to place, as it had done so far, it remains in one of the organs of the digestive system. From there, it will get circulated. Then it goes back to the generative system, this time as an organ unit.
Okay.
So it takes the full cycle of its maturity. It is now ready to fill up a unit which is become free.
Okay, got it. Yeah. The cell unit that is in line to become an organ unit is eventually impressed through its own break link unit by the breath link unit of the organ.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, its own breath link, not break. So the cell unit that is in line to become an organ unit is eventually impressed through its own breath link unit by the breath link unit of the organ, through its own life link unit by the life link unit of the organ, through its own form link unit by the form link unit of the organ, and is itself impressed by the organ unit. Does it mean that it has its own life link? That means it is independent.
Its own pattern, right? It has to fall into the pattern of its function and all that. So it is taking in all that information into itself. That is
into the cell.
Yeah.
So that means here cell is independent of its own thing. Yeah. The breath link unit becomes the breath link unit of the organ, the life link unit of the cell, the life link unit of the organ, the form link unit of the cell, the form link unit of the organ, and the cell unit changes to the organ unit.
So basically, it is transforming itself from a normal cell. See, after it has become a tissue in that cycle, it has to become an organ, right?
Yeah.
So in that transformation, this is how it is done. So it becomes a breath link unit of the cell that is becoming a breath link unit of the organ, because the organ has got all the fourfold systems.
Yes.
Right. It has got the form, it has got the life, it has got the breath.
Right.
Correct. Right. So it has all those. So it becomes one. A free cell is now becoming an organ cell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Let's go further.
A cell unit may change its position in one of the systems from time to time during the life of the body, but the organ unit remains the organ unit of its organ for the life in which it becomes the organ unit. So a cell unit may change its position, but the organ unit stays there. That's what
Correct.
he's.
It will remain an organ unit.
Yeah. The organ unit manages the functioning of this organ. Okay.
Correct.
It keeps all the parts of the organ working together and keeps all the unit from the cell units to the breath units in their proper relations while they are in the organ.
Correct. So that means it is doing the monitoring. It is like the nuclei which is feeding all the other entities in terms of their functionality, their ability, their shape, and so on. How much of coordination all this would call for a human body to function?
Yeah. My God. Yeah. If you go
That is
into
where
cell,
system theory comes.
Pardon?
That's where systems theory comes in.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
the product of the organ
No, no,
is
no.
this the one?
We have to do this. We have to do
Yes,
this.
sir.
Sorry. The cell link unit keeps the other cell units. The form link unit keeps the other form link units. The life link unit keeps the other life units, and the breath link unit keep the other breath units in order. So
Correct.
basically, each one they keep it together.
Correct.
The product of the
Cell links
organ
will
is
keep the cell units together, and each of them has got one functioning master, it looks like.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, the cell. Yeah, the cell link unit probably only links the units together.
Correct.
The product of the organ is passed on to the other organs. Thus, the organ of the digestive system act together in the functioning of that system as a whole and affect each other.
Hmm.
When the organ unit has worked its own organ long enough, it has also impressed on it the workings of the other organs in the system and so becomes eventually the unit of another organ.
Hmm.
What is this? When the organ unit has worked its own organ long enough, it has also impressed on it the workings of the other organs in the system and so becomes eventually the. How can it become eventually the unit of the another organ?
It's like, in a chemical bond. In a chemical, what happens? The last two are like, how it has happened? The bond element keeps that they bond each other, no? And that is how this
Yeah.
happens.
See,
Two organs are the different cells and they
he
bond each
has
other.
stepwise taken us through. There is an organ. So now what is he talking about? When is it becoming an organ unit? Right? Just
After
read this once again. The breath link unit of the cell becomes the breath link unit of the organ. The life link unit of the cell, the life link unit of the organ. The form link unit of the cell becomes the form link unit of the organ, and the cell unit changes to the organ unit.
Okay.
Okay, now this is a generic organ unit. Now let us go further. A cell unit may change its position in one of the systems from time to time during the life of the body. But the organ unit remains the organ unit of its organ for the life, in which it becomes the organ unit. So wherever it has become an organ unit, it will stay there in that organ only. Right? So now look at it this way now. Now read this again.
Okay, now the cell link unit keeps the other cell units. The form link unit keeps the other form units. The life link unit keeps the other life units, and the breath link unit keep the other breath units in order. Okay.
Correct.
The product of the organ is passed on to the other organs.
The product of the organ is passed on to other organs as organ cells. Maybe not complete functionality.
Chandragar, I have a question. So, not a question. What I'm thinking in my head, linking in between as a car. it's an independent shell unit like a car fuel. It's a petrol. When you're getting through the fuel pump and piston and around, when they get out the exist thing, it's become a gun shell again, right? This is we can see became an independent shell going through the whole car system, running the car. When they get out the exist fan, become a steel shell, right?
Yeah,
It's it's a,
see, at a system level, it is okay. But
yeah.
at the organ level here, it has to get
Mhm.
adjusted. That is why they look for the suitability, the blood group, the environment. They look for all those entities before matching.
Okay, excellent.
Okay. What you said is right. But
Mhm.
there has to be some match between the compatibility between the cells that are going to be transformed into something else.
Excellent. Thank you.
Right? Correct.
Yeah.
So let us go further, ma'am. Let's read this.
Yeah,
Continue.
The
just
product
want
of the
to
organ is passed on to other organs. Thus, the organs of the digestive system act together in the functioning of that system as a whole and affect each other.
That's the linking each other.
Correct.
Each of the
Now,
organ, like the stomach, the pancreas, the
correct.
intestines, and so on
Right.
and so forth.
So it has got the pattern of that particular function. Right.
just
Now,
want to add here, in the body clock book, it was nicely defined how different organs are connected. And
correct.
one thing is the small intestine is connected to the shoulders, the meridians of the shoulders. So like if any shoulder pain we get, the treatment should be in the small intestine. So it's no way, I mean, like when I was reading that, it's no way connected each, body, shoulder is somewhere and, some small intestine is part of the digestive system.
But
So
the
how they both
meridians,
are
through the
connected.
meridians and nerves, it is connected. You're right.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
so this
Same way, the
treatment
feet
can
and the
directly related to that. Yes.
Yes, yes. Right.
yeah.
So when the organ unit has worked its own organ unit has worked its own organ long enough, it has also impressed on the working of the, oh, that is because of the sequence of the entire pathway that is going on. The cells are developing their own memory
Yes.
of what is in sequence, like a relay race. The whole process is working. So they form their own relationships, and that way they take the impression on the working of other organs in the system. See, what is he talking about? He is talking of a system. Earlier, he has said that within a system it can exchange.
Mm-hmm.
So now here he is talking about, so within
Be-
the system, and so become eventually unit of another organ within that system. Remember that. He is not going beyond the system.
yeah, only within the system.
Correct.
So, and so becomes eventually the unit of another organ. The change begins at the end of the digestive system. Okay.
Okay. The highest organ in the
The highest
generative
organ
system is
is
the eye.
the eye. The unit of the eye adjusts the cells and regulates the curvature.
Correct.
Regulates the curvature of the eyeball and end of the lens. Steadies the nerve endings in the retina, focuses the eye, and emits and takes in radiant matter by means of which to make contact with the object. So it's the focus that is the main. Anything that is seen is contacted by the unit of the eye. The sun, the remotest star, if seen, is actually contacted. Wow. The unit of the eye is the instrument which the sense of sight uses for seeing. It becomes clear with the sense of sight through the optic and other nerves. It does all this at the influence of the sense of sight and becomes ever more sensitized to fire units, breath units, and radiant matter.
Correct. So it gets sensitized to all these elements for it to function as it is functioning. Yeah. So now let's further. When
When the unit of the eye is adapted to the sense of sight and has served its time, it becomes the manager of the whole generative system and functions as the sense of sight.
Hmm.
The sense of sight or light unit, the breath unit of the four systems of the body, passes to become the sense of hearing, which is the life or air unit of the body. That passes to become the sense of taste, which is the form or fluid unit, and that passes to become the sense of smell.
Hmm. Then I'll
Okay. The
tell you
sense
what
of
I
smell is
mentioned.
Actually, this thing was mentioned in one of the recent books you shared, Chandra sir. The wisdom books you shared.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same thing was mentioned in that when
Yes.
it
Yes.
from eye to other, rest of the four senses.
Correct. Yes.
the sense of smell immediately connects with the functions of the breath form, which is the last and direct link between the nature side and the AIA.
See, that sense book is taken from the various
Information from
Old
various.
Testament Bibles and all that and put into a pictorial form. That is
Yes,
the one that you are referring to.
yes, yes.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
just looked into, yeah, there's so
Yeah.
many
Harry
pictures.
B. somebody.
Yeah, beautiful information in that. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to go through all, but going here and there.
So the AIA belongs to the intelligent side. The sense of smell as contact touches particles in the solid state of the object smelled.
Hmm.
Okay. The smell is actual physical contact as the particles of cabbage, camphor, or musk. It is not so with taste.
Hmm.
The sense of taste does not contact gross physical particles, but it reaches into the solid units and take the fluid solid units, the essence from gross physical food, which is food to the structure of the body.
Okay.
The sense of taste does not contact gross physical particles, but it
Wait,
reaches
wait,
into
wait. No, the sense of taste does not contact gross physical particles. Okay. But it reaches into the solid units and takes the fluid solid units. It can't take the solid, but it takes the fluid solid, the essence from gross. So the fluid solid unit is the essence of the smell, sense
Gross,
of taste.
gross,
Sense of taste. Pardon?
essence of the gross physical particle. That's what
Okay,
it said.
got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, fluid solid units are the essence that is like saliva. Uh, I
From
mean, we taste
gross
it.
physical food.
Oh, yeah, food. Okay. I mean, even, yeah, okay. I mean, so initially he's saying the smell is the most important in the food than the taste.
Correct. No. The sense of smell as a contact,
Contact.
touches particles in the solid state of the object smelled. Okay, whatever object that you smell, that sense of smell touches the particles of the solid state. So it is a sort of a touch feeling, right? It
Yes,
conveys a touch sense.
see, in the case of smell, without even touching, it can smell the food.
No, that is what he's trying to tell you. It acts as a contact.
That's right. Because when I cook, my husband comes and says, "Oh, did you cook this curry? Did you cook this curry?"
Yeah.
Even though I was not even finishing it, he smells somewhere. And
Yeah.
that is the first,
Correct.
yeah.
Smell is actual physical contact as particles of cabbage, camphor, or musk. It is not so with
Now,
taste. See,
Taste,
we don't
taste
know
means
how
it
the
has
taste is there, but the telltale sign of smell is like a contact. I can sit in this room and say my wife is cooking cabbage.
So what I'm saying is, in terms of taste, you need to be contact with the physical
Correct.
solid state.
Correct.
Okay. Now I got the sense of taste does not contact gross physical particles, but it reaches into the solid units and takes the fluid solid units, the essence from gross physical food, which is food, to the structure of the body. To
Correct.
the essence of smell, but not to the fluid body, the odor is food. The
Smell is
sense of smell,
yeah.
the sense of smell impels the action of the digestive system and relates all the organs of the digestive system to each other and to each of the other systems by the breath, which is the active side, the life of the breath form. And further is through the sense of smell functioning as contact that all sense impressions are received. Okay.
Now,
So
here
things
what he has done is what he has explained in the previous section. He has taken a practical example and explained. See,
yeah.
if you read
So basically
whatever
what
we
he's saying,
went through here, right? It's now
yeah,
taking
see.
an example and then explaining how it is happening.
Yeah. But he's saying just with the smell itself, the digestive system activates.
Correct. Because that smell, that aroma, that is going to trigger as though it is the physical entity, right? Because the imagination, everything is getting triggered with that. The sense
The
of
thought.
taste does not contact,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
The gross physical particles, but it reaches into the solid units and takes the fluid solid units, the essence, from the gross physical food, which is food to the structure of the body. Are you able to link that? Just close your eyes while I read this again.
Yeah.
You will experience it. The sense of taste does not contact gross physical particles. Just close your eyes and follow that. But it reaches into the solid units in our body itself, right? Units, and takes the fluid solid units, the essence, from the gross physical food. So that vegetable that is getting cooked, right? Which is food to the structure of the body.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
To the sense of smell, but not to the fluid body, the odor is the food. Odor is the food for the sense. The sense of smell is the odor of the food. But it is not to the fluid body. Fluid body doesn't take that. It takes something else.
Yeah.
Okay. The sense of smell impels the action of the digestive system and relates all the organs of the digestive system to each other. The enzymes, if you read German New Medicine, he talks about that morsel, right? So he talks about the digestive quality, then there are the sensory qualities. All these things will become the functions of that digestive system. So it will trigger all the enzymes that are associated with it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Salivary glands get activated. See, when you see, have some flavor of some food, then your salivary glands get activated.
Correct.
That is the
No, that is
fluid part.
one. But then that will in turn trigger some other component. It may
Other
trigger
juices.
your hunger. It may trigger so many other things up to the mouth. Right?
Yeah.
So, by the breath, which is the active side, the life of the breath form, and further, it is through the sense of smell, functioning as contact, that all sense impressions are received. So, things seen, heard, or tasted are passed through the sense of smell by the breath to the feeling in the nerves. So now that entire nuclear fission has started. कौन सा feeling है, कौन सा thought है, you cannot discriminate. All will start functioning.
Correct.
Now the next.
Okay.
Yeah.
Raising of the AIA to be triune self. Raising of the AIA to be a triune self in the realm of permanence. Duty of its doer in the perfect body. It is the duty of the doer in the perfect body. Feeling and desire produced a change in the body. The twain are dual body.
These are all the
Trial
topics covered. These are all the topics.
to cover all these topics. Okay.
Yeah.
The twain are dual body, trial and test of bringing feeling and desire into a balanced union. So how it's going to be a feeling and desire balance.
Right.
After the death of the body, the purgation of the doer are carried on by means of the breath form as the thoughts of the past life are unrolled from the mental atmosphere. The breath form had preserved the memories of all that was said and done during the past life and presents them to the doer in the after death states called hell and heaven. Okay. And as the doer is purged and some of the memory impressions on the breath form are burned off, though the impressions graved by the thoughts remain on the AIA.
Okay. It has gone to the AIA. Very good. Then.
Yeah. And after the doer has lived over the events of the past life, it rests and the AIA remains in its dimensionless state in the psychic atmosphere.
Correct.
So AIA
gone.
Yeah.
So just like what Annie Besant wrote, from the physical, it has moved into the psychic atmosphere, all the impressions. Then what happens?
So in due course, the AIA is acted on by a thought in the mental atmosphere. Then it stimulates the breath of the breath form, which vivifies its inert form, the soul, and the breath, and form together are the breath form, the living soul for the next physical body. So from it goes into the mental atmosphere and it combines with the soul and breath form together and to get ready for the next life. Eventually, the doer enters the body and the AIA is affected by the development of the doer. Briefly stated, after innumerable existence in human bodies, the doer learns to resist the impulses of nature and to govern its desires. So after several existences, it learns how to learn to resist the impulses of nature and govern it. It improves accordingly until eventually it brings its feelings and desires into a balanced union, and with its thinker and knower, it is a triune self complete in a perfected, regenerated, sexless, immortal physical body.
Correct.
In the realm of. So finally, again, it becomes
after balance. After the
we have gone through this. Actually, Annie Besant's explanation of this is much better. Because she very clearly says everything happens in the causal body. They get split into two things. One remains as the germs for the next birth, which is in the AIA unit. The other one becomes the wisdom for the coming life. Okay.
When the triune self advanced and became an intelligence, the AIA was ready to take the place of that triune self.
Correct. So that means AIA has come there. Other units have become AIAs. That is how the entire universe will be progressing stage by stage. Yeah.
It was like a bud, sensitive to the light, ready to burst into the bloom. Yet, when the triune self had progressed, it was quiescent. What is that?
Quiescent.
Quiescent.
It was
Quiescent
quiescent.
and
Yeah,
quiescent.
germinating life. Quiet. That's
Oh,
no.
quiescent
What do you call
and
it? No. Quiescent is in the germinating level. It's still not fully
germinating.
Not fully germinated,
still
it
not
is in the progressive
not fully
state.
germinated.
It is the progressive state, we can say.
It's
Okay, got it.
nascent state.
Yeah.
Nature state. Okay.
One question here. So we are saying the
Process.
1/12 of the doer keep coming taking the births. So when it finish all these 35 lessons, so the doer part of it becomes the another triune self.
No, not the doer
Can
part.
we take
That
that way
entire
from the
triune self is complete. It vacates the realm of permanence into the intelligence.
yeah, but when the AIA was ready to take place of the triune self, here the
So,
AIA is being part of the
the
doer, right?
the sequence you need to note is you've got the realm of permanence, you've got the transitory state of nature and triune self, intelligent side, right? The maximum ascension that you can do in the intelligent side is that of the triune self. Once the triune self has completed all its functions and has shown its stability for a given period of time by virtue of executing certain functions, it is now progressing into merging with the intelligence.
Which is fine. That part is fine.
Okay, if that is fine, now there is a vacancy in the entire units, right?
Yes, that's
So
what I meant
that
to say.
vacancy, the AIA is now slowly progressing into the realm of permanence. And that will move one unit from the realm of permanence into the higher state.
Okay.
Go back to today, yesterday night, your session, we saw triangles, stars, etc., right?
Yeah.
All those, when they become complete, good enough for becoming a complete triune self, right? Then that triune self will move into the realm of intelligence. That vacancy that has got created is ready for the triune self which has progressed up to that state to remain in the realm of permanence.
Okay.
Okay. So it is a relay.
Yet,
One chair over, that chair is complete. It has moved into, it's like the musical chair, effectively.
yeah, when it is balanced, it moves into realm of permanence.
Correct. No, realm of permanence, and after some period of stay there, it vacates the realm of permanence into realm of intelligence.
Yeah, go
From
to
the
higher
realm of
dimension.
intelligence, it may be administering some other planet, not necessarily Earth.
Yeah, different dimensions, one to the higher.
Correct.
Okay, yet when the triune self had progressed, it was quiescent and quiescent, that is inactive. So, and in darkness.
Native, nascent beginning stage.
Beginnings.
And it was in darkness.
Figuratively speaking, a ray brighter than sunlight sundered the darkness and raised the AIA into its sphere of light, where the AIA was at once translated as a triune self.
Correct.
So, yeah.
So this progressed into AIA has now become the triune self. That means AIA has gone through the full grind, and the maximum state of AIA is triune self.
Yeah. That triune self was in and conscious of the measureless conscious light of the intelligence which had raised it and was conscious of itself as a triune self in its noetic atmosphere. It knew that it never was not.
That means it knew that it is now completely balanced and there is nothing more for it to progress.
Total, yeah. There was no impression of time, of evil, of injustice, wrong, or death because there is no duality.
Correct.
The triune self was conscious of the sum of the functions as which it was conscious in each and all of the degrees of nature as which it had functioned before it became conscious of and as itself in the eternal.
Correct.
The triune was conscious of the sum of the functions as which it was conscious in each and all of the degrees of nature as which it had functioned before it became
That means,
conscious of.
I mean, we can construe that to be the 35 lessons it has completed in all respects.
Because it knows the past, future, represent everything.
Everything.
Yeah. Because of its own noetic atmosphere, it was conscious of the presence of intelligence. Yeah.
Correct. How? Yeah.
There it knew itself to be identity and knowledge and rightness and reason and feeling and desire, one triune self. Together, they're all not separate. They're all.
This is the full comprehensive unit.
Yeah. But its due part had yet to bring its feeling and desire into balanced union.
So that means it is now before it became that. That's what he's trying to say. Because of its own noetic atmosphere, it was conscious of the presence of intelligences. It is conscious. There it knew itself to be identity and knowledge and rightness and reason and feeling and desire. That is one triune self. But the doer part had yet to bring its feeling and desire into balanced entity. The moment it does that,
completely balanced.
It becomes completely balanced and it knows its state.
Chandraguru, can I share one small thought? What I'm looking at here is as a star, how the star born and death and come back again, and you start looking at the individual human being happening same thing, and a human being looking at the star, it's happening same externally, looking at the complete picture. But inside the star and individual human being happening in certain function, but looking at the both side and born and dead, cycling and cycling. That's how I see the human being and looking each other.
No.
The innocence is correct. Innocence is right. What he's saying is to look at what is happening in the star, but in a slightly different sense. What happens in the star is a very different issue.
So here, all you need to note is this is the entire triune self, okay? If you consider this to be the triune self, there is an imbalance. So the triune self had to give up its body. It had to give up its body and take birth in the human body. Are you with me? So this one,
we go back straight to the introduction of the book.
Correct. So
start with the very introduction.
It has come here. So that unit, this human body, that unit, wherever that balance got disrupted, right? You start as elements. Okay, you start again as element.
Excuse me for a moment.
Okay.
I'll just come back.
You start as element, right? Fire become air, become water, become earth crust, right? Then air joins it in the next round and that starts taking some life. Because of the water, it starts taking some form. It becomes a breath form with the elemental. The element plus breath form is equal to the elemental. That elemental has become AIA. From AIA, it has graduated into the full triune self. That triune self has gone into the next level. Right? So, your explanation, your understanding is okay, but don't forget this process. Okay?
Thank you.
Right. Yeah, Balaman.
Okay, but its doer part had yet to bring its feeling and desire into balanced union.
Correct.
Its
That
rightness,
is why he had that difficulty.
yeah, its rightness and reason, the thinker caused the triune self to think about the intelligences and subjects of which it was made conscious by the light. Okay. And as it thought, it was in its mental atmosphere and in a different world, the life world, though it was not conscious of the life world. So in thinking, there came up in the triune self the subjects of unity and separatedness, the immortality and death, good and evil, justice and injustice, and other opposites.
So all the lessons that are in the various divine qualities.
Yeah. So in that so all these are happening in the life world.
No. In thinking, there came up to the triune self. The subjects of unity and separate. So because it was thinking and putting things together, all these topics came up. All these qualities came up.
In that, mental atmosphere. Yeah. No opinions, no conclusions were arrived yet. Merely the thinking went on. Just as the thinker extended from the life world into the light world by thinking, so the doer then extended into the life world by its thinking.
Correct. He moved into the life world, no?
So then he moved into the life world, into the light world by thinking. So the doer then extended into the life world by its thinking. He thought of the opposites, and so the doer was conscious in that world.
Correct.
As he continued to think and feel, a third atmosphere, its psychic atmosphere, was within the noetic and the mental atmospheres. So created another psychic atmosphere.
Psychic means it has come to the form world.
Psychic means it comes to
form
world. Yeah. The doer was now in the form world. Yes, the doer was now in the form world and was conscious of itself. So basically, how the doer is descending.
Correct.
At this point, the knower, the thinker, and the doer were each in its own atmosphere.
Correct.
They were negative, and the atmospheres are positive, and each atmosphere was connected with the world in which it was. They were negative, but the atmospheres are positive. The triune self was in its highest state in all its parts and was not connected with the world and the senses of nature. So first, initially, the triune self was in its highest state and not connected with the worlds and also the nature. In the three parts its three parts were adjusted, each to the others, so that the light was present also in the psychic atmosphere of the doer. So initially, the light also was present in the psychic atmosphere. It gets diffused with the thoughts. Let's go down. The doer thus conscious was at home.
Did we do this?
Its three parts were adjusted each to the other, so that the light was present also in the psychic atmosphere of the doer. Yes.
So that means all of that came together and everything became light.
Yes. Thus, the doer thus conscious was at home in the light. In this way, the AIA was translated into a triune self. This was its coming into itself as a triune self. The raising of the AIA, its translation into a triune self, and the degrees in which it was conscious did not occur progressively by development in time, but instantaneously, and the triune self was conscious in all degrees at once in the eternal.
But this didn't happen. That's it. This transformation is going to be sequential.
At once.
It is going to be abrupt.
Yep.
Because it is in multiple domains. In multiple atmospheres, all of that when you put together, if it is good enough to be comprehensively an
Yeah.
AIA ready to migrate, it will move away into that state.
Yeah. Triune self was conscious in all degrees at once in the eternal. Okay.
Correct.
Eventually, the thinking of the triune self was turned to the condition it had been in when it was still the AIA, and to the relation which it then had to the breath form.
Now it knows.
Now it knows that it must take the breath form out of and away from the nature and raise it to the degree of AIA to form the link between itself as triune self and the unintelligence units of nature. This is the triune. This is the triune self. What it does. So it just links the nature and the intelligence side.
This is what the triune self does.
It throws away the nature things and all that, the unnecessary things, and before becomes the
Correct.
transcendent. That's what it is.
The breath form thus became the AIA.
Because in the nature side, what is the maximum? It is the breath form.
Yeah.
In the nature side, the maximum. The beginning of triune self is AIA. So because all the other units have progressed, the breath form has to now become the new AIA.
So the breath form thus became the AIA. As AIA, it had yet to be adjusted to its triune self, to the four elements, the four worlds, the four senses, and the earth sphere as a whole. While the triune self was being raised to be an intelligence, the perfect body was inactive in safety in the interior of the earth.
Correct. Because the body has to be available on the earth, no?
Yeah.
Right. When the AIA...
When the AIA is raised to be a triune self, the perfect body is the physical body for that newly raised triune self.
Correct.
The body had been adjusted to the four worlds. It was sensitive to them. The doer used the four senses which acted in the four worlds. It saw the light world present through the three lower worlds and the interrelation of these with each other. That means at higher state it saw and heard the movements of the matter of the worlds and how the discords caused by human thoughts were brought into harmonies. So as it's developing into harmony,
system is increasing basically. Its awareness is increasing.
Yeah, awareness increases, yes.
We can say the perfect body in the physical earth is the enlightened person.
No,
so
earth will not have the perfect body.
triune.
No, earth will not have the perfect body.
No, but perfect body has to wait until the
perfect body disintegrates into the elements and elementals.
No, the previous one, while the triune self was being raised to be an intelligence, the perfect body was inactive and in safety in the interior of the earth. Means
Correct.
the perfect body means an enlightened person on the earth. Can we say that?
No, this is, see, the safety, inactive in safety in the interior of the earth is the one that is as what? As elementals. It breaks down. See, on death, what is happening? All the particles become part of nature.
Yes.
Right? Only the soul goes through the cleansing.
Yes.
Right? So that is kept in it is hidden in the interiors of the earth, no?
Yes.
It is merged with the earth.
Thinking in the physical body form. Yes, that is
correct.
The English, a little bit confusing because after the death, where everything gets disintegrated into the earth as unit, different units.
See, that is why that Joe Dispenza's cycle is able to take effect. Again, they are coming, all the raw material is sitting as the Panchabhutas that is forming the body. The structure is also broken down and kept in the AIA.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's continue.
Okay. Oh, the body had been adjusted to the four worlds. It was sensitive to them. The doer used the four senses which acted in the four worlds. It saw the light world present through the three lower worlds and the interrelation of these with each other. It
Correct.
saw and heard the movements of the matter of the worlds and how the discords caused by the human thoughts were brought into harmonies.
Correct.
Through taste, it's the qualities and quantities of matter coming into form and the comings and goings of matter in the maintenance and changing of the forms. By the sense of smell, it perceived the building of the structures in the forms. The doer with four senses in alignment with the four worlds and their planes perceived the difference and realities of the matter, forms and structures in each of the worlds and its planes and states.
Correct.
So the alignment happened in all the worlds and planes and states. It perceived the reality in relation to in the relation of each other to the others. Perceived that light and heavy, great and small, near and far were interchangeable in different states and planes of any world. It perceived that when the senses were turned towards an object in any state and plane, the object was the measure of reality and all else unreal.
Correct. That means
It
whatever was
perceived
the state of its balance, its awareness, that was real and the rest of it was not.
the object only was a measure of reality.
Correct.
And all else was
Correct.
that when the senses were not limited but were aligned with the other states and planes, all things were equally real in their own states and on their planes, and that no object lost its relative reality. So whatever behind the objective, the unseen things also can be seen and
Correct.
related. Unmanifested portions. In its perfect body,
I'm just seeing how much more is. No, it won't be over today. So I think we'll stop here now.
okay.
So we start from this line tomorrow.
Okay.
See, what
In
he's
its
trying to
perfect
do, going up and down, trying to explain to us from the AI to the triumph to the light thing, what
Correct.
happened. Going
Same
up
thing
and down,
is
up and down,
repeating again and
is
again.
explaining so that we impresses upon us the mind.
The first
So
he
we
said,
should
no,
we should not get confused.
we should not.
Yeah.
confuse as if it's some kind of sequel.
Yeah. Going
So I
back and
think
forth is
step
what
one,
causing
he is first
confusion.
enunciating the process.
Mm.
Then he is taking one entity and then explaining that. And then he is taking us through all the spheres of its progression.
Mm.
That is where he is confusing us.
No, I mentioned that before also. See, because this book is not written based on a model, not on a concept. So that whatever his experience he's trying to explain, and this is purely an experience kind of an explanation.
Correct.
That is why he's taking so much trouble to that. If he had a model already, a kind of a three-dimensional model or a mathematic model, then this wouldn't have happened.
In fact,
Okay.
ma'am, you should read this one.
What? So this is he is the so this is also by Percival?
Yeah. Just read the question. I will read it because this is too small for you to read from there. What is the exact meaning of the term elementals? One of his friends asks.
Because we were asking yesterday, last night.
Right. Used in so many connections by the theosophists and the occultists. Okay.
Yes.
So, an elemental is an entity below the stage of man. That means it is the units that make up the man.
Like less than atom?
No,
No, no,
not
no.
less
There's no
than
such
an
as
atom. An
any
atom.
element, any part.
See, before the cell level, whatever it is, that chemical, that composition, that energy, that cell, that tissue, right? That system. So all those things are composed of elementals.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The body of an elemental is composed of one of the four elements. The body of the elemental is. That means it is the each cell in our body has got one element plus its own energy, its own the entire replicated field, right? Its own memory, all that, right? Hence, the word elemental. The meaning of or belonging to elements. The medieval philosopher known as pardon?
It's not material, it's medieval.
Yeah, I said medieval.
Medieval.
Okay, okay.
Medieval
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
philosopher known as the Rosicrucians.
Rosicrucian.
Rosicrucians
Hmm.
divided
Rosicrucian.
elements into four classes, relating each class to one of the four elements, treated of them by them as earth, fire, air, water. Of course, it is to be remembered that these elements are not the same as our gross elements.
Oh.
Right? Earth elements, for instance, is not what we see around us. This is not earth, but the primal element on which our solid earth is based. So it is basically he is taking down the CKD form of what is earth. Earth is a collection of certain things, right?
Yes.
Some of it is solid, some of it is fluid, some of it is gaseous, and so on. All that is earth only.
Yes.
Okay.
But he says it is than one element.
It is not one element. That's what he's saying.
Yeah. That, yes. Yeah.
Right. So he is breaking it down. The Rosicrucians named the elementals of the earth genomes or gnomes, right? Those of water, undines, those of air, sylphs, and those of fire, salamanders. So each of them has got a different name, he is saying. You didn't understand. Bala ma'am has got only question marks on her face.
No, I didn't understand this. The Rosicrucians named the elementals of the earth.
Correct.
Gnomes.
So, what are the elementals of the earth? Gnomes.
Oh.
He called them gnomes. Those that are
Okay.
belonging to the elementals of water as undines.
I see. Got it.
Those of
the
air is
okay.
sylphs.
Sylphs.
Yeah.
Sylphs.
And
Sylphs.
those
the fire,
of fire as salamanders.
Salamanders.
Yeah.
So I
Got
think
it.
the idea in the Marvel movies also, elementals, they are certain illusionary extra-dimensional humanoids. Matlab, they are not exactly humans, but illusions, who can control
Elementals
the
are not
earthly.
humans. Even he is also saying that. What is
That's what I'm
saying?
saying. From there, maybe the idea was taken by the Marvel movies I'm talking about, na?
Quite
Yes,
possible.
yes. Best possible. Yes.
That's
Yeah.
it just came to my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, possible.
Whenever a portion of one of the elements is given direction by an intense thought of a human being, this thought takes its form in the element characteristic of its nature and appears as an entity separate from the element, but whose body is of that element.
Correct.
Clear? Bala ma'am, question mark or no question mark?
Didn't understand quite.
No. See, those elements which are
Yeah.
not created by no, not that one.
That's right.
Whenever a portion of one of the elements is given direction by an intense thought of a human being, so you are going to
Okay.
give it the shape. You
Yeah.
are giving it energy.
Yes.
Okay.
Got it.
This thought,
Takes its form.
right? This thought takes its form in the element characteristic of its nature of its
Yes.
thought, right?
Okay.
It appears as an entity separate from the element because its
Okay.
composition has changed. See,
Yeah.
two atoms
Composition
come
has changed.
together, they have become a molecule now. The
Yeah. Yeah.
molecule
Because
then
of the
interaction becomes a chemical,
Yes. Got it.
right? Okay. Then what is he saying? Right? Those elements which are not created by human thought in this period of evolution assumed their being due to the impressions in a former period of evolution. Those that have not been given any energy by a thought, any shape, any direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have had their own their own state of evolution. They have acquired their own elemental state.
Got it. Yeah.
Right? The creation of an element is due to the mind, human, or universal. There are three.
Uh-huh.
Okay. That
Mind,
is,
human.
when they come into the cell, they get conditioned. See, now if
Yeah.
link it, he is talking about the cell. The link cell becomes draws in all the cells together. Then the form gives the form link, gives it the form shape.
Yes.
Right? The breath gives it the breath shape. All that is the transformation. See, there is a natural progression of the entity that is happening. Are you
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, right, the elementals known as earth elements are in themselves of 7 classes and are those which live in caverns and mountains, in mines and all places of the earth. Those units are distributed all across.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. They are the
Builders of the earth. Builders of
they
the
are
earth.
the builders of the earth with its minerals and metals.
Okay. Got it.
The undines live in springs, rivers, seas, and in moisture of the air. The undines are the water
Water, the
particles,
fluid. Yeah, water particle.
right? But it takes a combination of water, air, and fire elements to produce rain. Undines are water particles sitting, but it
Yeah.
needs a combination of air and fire
Fire.
elements to produce rain. They are
Okay.
sitting in the atmosphere.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
In general, it takes a combination of two or more classes of elements to produce any natural phenomena.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So now if we try to say, how is it that fire has become air? It is going
Yes.
to this kind of modification. Okay. So crystals are formed by the combination of earth, air, water, and fire elementals. So it is with precious stones. So it is with precious stones. That is the gems and all. The sylphs live in the air, in trees, in the flowers of the fields, in shrubs, and in the vegetable kingdom, in all the vegetable kingdom. What is this? The air particles. Balaman. All the
So
air
sylphs,
particles.
I'm looking at the sylphs means some kind of small
Air, air,
particles.
air, air particle.
Air
Air
particles.
particles. Air particles.
Okay.
Right. And they live in all the vegetable kingdoms, in fields, in shrubs, and so on.
Okay.
The salamanders are of the fire. A flame comes into existence through the presence of a salamander. Fire makes a salamander visible.
Wow.
When there is a flame, we see one part of the salamander. The fire elements are the most immaterial. That means very low, very, very
And
subtle
matter.
material. Yeah. These four combine with each other in producing fires, storms, floods, and earthquakes.
My God.
So
Okay.
the physical fire, earth, water, what we see with the naked eye is really a part of subset of these
The
elementals.
salamanders.
Subset of this, yes.
Right. Okay.
Looks like a salamander. We never think of
What a,
that, but
what a depth he has gone to, huh?
oh my God.
Right? So,
A flame comes into existence through the presence of a salamander.
correct. Fire is coming into existence through the salamanders.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Okay. What is meant by the human elemental? Is there any difference between it and the lower mind? Okay. The human elemental is that entity with which man associated when he first incarnated, and with which he associates with each incarnation at the building up of his body. That is the human elemental. It persists through all the incarnations of the mind until it, through long association with the mind, receives the spark or ray of self-consciousness. It is then no longer human elemental but the lower mind. Are you getting the subtle difference?
Yeah. So basically, when it receives the spark of self-consciousness, it is no longer an elemental.
Correct. It has become a lower mind.
Lower.
That means it has
Okay.
got its own light, its own visibility, its own consciousness, all those.
Mm.
Right? From the
Oh,
human
from the
elemental
elemental.
comes the Linga Sharira.
Oh, that's Sukshma Sarira. Linga is Sukshma Sarira. The subtle
Ah,
body.
no, Linga is, yeah, no, that is Sukshma, no?
Yeah,
Linga
Sukshma
is
is subtle body.
the Stula Sharira, right? No.
No,
Linga is the
Stula is
subtle body, correct. Etheric body.
subtle body is the Linga Sharira, which is subtle. Yeah.
Which is the astral body, actually.
Etheric body.
Etheric and, yeah. The human elemental is what is in Madame Blavatsky's secret doctrine called the
Varishad Pitri.
Arshad Pitri or lunar
Lunar
ancestor. Whereas man, the ego is of the
Agnishwat
Agniswata
Pitri.
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 Agnishwata Pitri.
Agniswata
Solar.
Pitri. Agniswata Pitri, right?
Agnishwata Pitri. Yeah.
Correct. Of the solar lineage, the son of the
Sun.
sun.
So
That's
one
what
is
we
the
all
loop.
believe in. But it's what we all believe in.
Correct.
The lineage of sun.
Correct. Right?
The Homo sapien.
Is there an elemental controlling the desires, another controlling the vital forces, another controlling the bodily functions, or does the human elemental control all this? The human elemental controls all these.
Control all this. Oh my God. What a revelation.
Right? The Linga Sharira is the automaton which carries out the desires of the human elemental. Ma'am, I'll just get myself some water. Will you continue reading?
The human elementals control all this. The Linga Sharira is the automaton which carries out the desires of the human elemental. The Varishat Pitri does not die with the death of the body, as does the Linga Sharira. The Linga Sharira, its child, is produced from it for each incarnation. The Varishat is as the mother which is worked on by the reincarnating mind or ego. And from this action is produced the Linga Sharira. So basically he's saying from Varishad Sharira, the Linga Sharira is produced.
The lunar germ, basically, right?
Correct. From the lunar germ. The human elemental controls all the functions mentioned in the question, but each function is carried out by a separate elemental.
Correct.
Elemental of each organ of the body knows and controls only the lives which go to make up the organ and perform its function. The elemental of each organ of the body knows and controls only the lives which go to make up the organ and performs its function, but knows nothing of any function of any other organ. But the human elementals see that all of these functions are performed and related to each other harmoniously. This is the organ separation, separate specific functions, isn't it?
No,
Specific
no.
organ.
this is what
Each
he
organ.
took us through. Today's learning, that cell becoming all that, right? This is what he took us through.
The specific functions.
Correct.
And so he says, even that the human elemental sees that all these functions are performed, and also they work harmoniously.
Correct.
They are related to each other harmoniously.
The font, if possible.
You just increase. Yes.
No, but then.
Yeah. All involuntary actions of the body, such as breathing, digestion, perspiring, all are controlled by the human elemental.
So let me read it again because this is very interesting. Right, this para.
So when he's saying all these are controlled by the human elemental, so that means the human elemental is the prana energy?
No, he explained that, no, they are the basic units of which human body is made. It is not just prana. It is the fire, air, water in various structures, etc.
So he says all involuntary actions of the body, they are controlled by these elementals.
Correct, because they are nature side, no?
Yeah, correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, Together, this is human body. But human body itself has got many of these units. Each unit is an elemental. Some belonging to fire, some belonging to air, some belonging to water. All those bodies together is one cell. Within the cell also same structure is remaining.
Now it makes sense because they are coming from nature. That is why they work involuntarily.
Yes.
See, intelligence side probably works voluntarily.
No, I think that will be a combination of on both sides. Okay.
So,
Because when we focus on our breath, we are making it voluntarily.
Correct. So that's what he's saying. See, the human elemental controls all this. What is it controlling? It is controlling desire. It is controlling
Bodily functions.
vital forces. Even prana it is controlling. The elementals are controlling, right? Another controlling the bodily functions. So body functions also it is controlling. Or does the human elemental control all this? The human elemental controls all by function, by state of existence.
so elementals, my understanding in this case, maybe he's rewording, which is nothing but what we have learned about the spheres, world, planes associated with the breath form.
Correct.
So the term is different. He's just coining the term elemental to what we have
No.
already learned.
See, a unit of fire in all its state of existence with a breath form, right? With a breath and a form is one elemental.
See, that is what he said. His definition initially. It is
Correct.
combination of with the breath form.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So the
For it
elemental
to become
word
a
is
breath
just
form,
he introduced again the word elemental, but it's what we have already learned previously. The air, water, fire, and the fire. Those things associated with
both are his own articles. Here he is going into much more granularity.
Yeah.
Okay, he's talking the same thing in both. Here he has gone into more granularity of it.
Okay.
So
He actually
fire, where is it coming from? Everything.
Exactly. He takes you to a what is called as the supra system.
Correct.
And then within that he brings it. Earlier he was not talking about supra, he only talk about system.
No, this
When he
one is
talks about
individual editorials of his.
correct. Whatever.
Which,
Here he takes
which
you
he
to the
has
supra system.
rewritten into a book. See, he
Okay.
talks about 32 years that book has taken, right? Now I can relate to that whole thing. Because this he had to sequence it, he had to redo it so many times. Yeah. Right? So all involuntary actions of the body, such as breathing, digesting, perspiring, all are controlled by human elemental. This is the buddhic function in the physical body of the human elemental. Right?
Mm.
In the editorial on consciousness, page 293, it is said the fifth state of matter is the human mind, or I am I. I am I. In the course of the innumerable ages, the indestructible atom, which guided atoms into the mineral, through the vegetable, up to the animal, at last attains the high state of matter in which is reflected one consciousness. What is consciousness? It has gone through that animal, the plant, and all that, and then become one consciousness. Being an individual entity and having the reflection of consciousness within, it thinks and speaks of itself as I, because I is the symbol of one. The human entity has under its guidance an organized animal body. The animal entity impels each of its organs to perform a particular function. The entity of each organ directs each of its cell to do a certain work. Okay. The life of each cell guides each of its molecules to growth. The design of each molecule confines each of its atoms into an orderly form, and consciousness impresses each atom with the purpose of becoming self-conscious. Atoms, molecules, cells, organs, and animal are all under the direction of the mind. The self-conscious state of matter. So mind is the self-conscious state of matter, the function of which is thought. The function, what is the function of mind? Its function is thought. But the mind does not attain self-consciousness, which is its complete development, until it has subdued and controlled all desires and impressions received through the senses and centered all thought on consciousness as reflected in itself.
That is what in philosophy they call Chidabhasa.
Correct. The Parishad is the thread soul of the body. Just as the Agnishwata Pitri is the thread soul of the mind. So Parishad Pit is the thread soul of the body. Right?
And Agnishwata Pitri is the third soul of the mind.
Of the mind. Is there an elemental controlling the desires? No. The Kama Rupa bears a similar relation to the ego, as does the Linga Sharira to the human elemental. Only whereas the Linga Sharira is the automaton of the body, the Kama Rupa is the automaton of the turbulent desires which move the world. The world's desires move the Kama Rupa. Every passing elemental strikes into the Kama Rupa. So the Linga Sharira is moved and moves the body according to the impulses or commands of the human elemental, the Kama Rupa or the ego. So that means human
Ultimately,
elemental or the Kama Rupa or the ego.
To put it in one phrase, we're all moved by our egos. Period. As simple as that.
It could be the ego or the Kama Rupa or the human element.
No, that's what drives the ego, sir.
No, not just the ego.
Or the ego.
Or the ego
Please
is
read.
not, no, Kama
No,
Rupa
please,
is the desire.
please, no. Please read the sentence. Understand correctly. Kama Rupa as
I am reading it again, sir.
or the
I
ego
am
is not
reading it
as an
again.
alternate. Or the ego is not as an alternative. Kama Rupa Lingo or ego. That is, Kama Rupa is ego.
No,
You
no,
read the
sir.
sentence correctly. Yes, it's not alternative. Ego is not alternative. It's like saying so and
Kama
so or say
Rupa is not the ego, sir. Look at this sentence.
Kama Rupa or
No, read
yes.
it. Kama Rupa bears a similar relation to the ego.
That's what. That's why he says.
Oh, that means it is not the ego. It has got a relationship to the ego. That means it is
No,
manipulating the ego, just as the Linga Sharira is to the ego, as does the Linga Sharira to the human element. So
right.
that means all of them are part and parcel of maybe the desire in various forms. That's the understanding I am getting.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
said
fine.
Kamrupa is the automation of turbulent desires.
Not automation. Automaton. It is
Automaton.
automaton.
Maybe he's missing the I word here.
No. Automaton
Yeah,
is a
automaton
word.
is a word itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Automaton is the functional unit.
Is a machine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is the lowest functional unit. A moving mechanical device made in imitation of a human being. It is a functional block. In electronics, we may call it the functional block.
Oh, okay.
A machine which performs a range of functions according to a predetermined set of coded instructions. It is a function.
Got that.
Okay. A robot.
It is like a robot agent.
Any machine.
Anything. However big
any
or
machine.
Right. Only whereas the Linga Sharira is the automaton of the body, Kama Rupa is the automaton of turbulent desires. Right. Now, then he adds one interesting sentence. He says the world's desires move the Kama Rupa. Every passing elemental strikes into the Kama Rupa. Right. So, the Linga Sharira is moved and moves the body according to the impulses or commands of the human elemental or the Kamarupa or the ego. So, there are three entities that are acting. That is the way I understand. I don't know if I am complete. Yeah. Then let us see. Does the same elemental control both the conscious acts and the unconscious functions of the body? Who are these friends, sir? They are way beyond our ability of asking questions. There is no such thing as unconscious function or act. Absolutely clear. For though the human being may not be conscious of the functions or acts of its body, the presiding elemental of the organ or function certainly is conscious.
Exactly. Yes.
Right?
That's why I say the memory. That's why certain things have because the memory of the self.
Else it could not function.
Correct.
Yeah. See, even though we are not aware of it, our body cells inside the system organs, they are aware of it.
Correct. So now he is explaining something more interesting. The same elemental does not always perform all the functions or acts of the body. As for instance, the human elemental presides over the body as a whole, though it may not be conscious of the separate and individual action of a red blood corpuscle. Now, this is exactly like our gulping experiment. We don't know what we are conscious of, we think we are conscious of. Right? So then, okay, there is one more question. Ma'am, can you read it? Something is wrong with my throat. I think I've eaten
Are
stuff.
elementals in general evolving entities? And will they all or any of them in the course of evolution become men? Okay, let me read again. Are elementals in general evolving entities, and will they all or any of them in the course of evolution they become men? The answer is yes to both questions.
No,
They are evolving entities, he's saying, and also they in the course of evolution they become man. The body of man is the schoolhouse for all elementals. In the body of man, all classes of all elementals receive their lessons and instruction. And the body of man is the great university from which all elementals graduate according to their degrees. The human elementals takes the degree of self-consciousness and in its turn then as the ego presides over another elemental which becomes human, and all the lower elementals even as the ego in the body now does. So he's comparing to a
all
class student.
lower elementals, they then become the ego in the body.
Yes.
And they progress through. The ego is also the driving force of the doer.
Yeah, and also he says the human elementals take the degree of self-consciousness and in its turn then the ego presides over.
No, and then as ego,
Yeah, so, yeah,
it
correct.
becomes
As the
the
ego,
ego, and then as a ego content, they will then preside over another elemental.
yeah.
वो जितना भी एलिमेंटल आगे बढ़ेगा वो जाकर ईगो में मर्ज होता ही लगता है. I think I will post this for the benefit of all. So much of wisdom, sir.
So that means one by one it is transferring the ego into higher self-consciousness.
Correct.
Actually, when I asked Patriji,
Hmm.
one of things that I would like to do is control my ego, forget my ego, get rid of ego. He said, don't do it. In fact, he said, what you should learn is to manage your ego and
Correct.
not get rid of it. Ego is necessary.
No, in fact, that is what we have in spiritual tablets. We have what we call Arshad Varga. Okay. Now, the other side of Arshad Varga is 1 plus Arshad Varga. What is this 1 plus? So 1% of the Arshad Varga, that is the desire in its various 6 dimensions, you retain 1% of it, otherwise you will not progress. You have become a seer by yourself if you have 100% managed all the Arshad Vargas. You need to come to that state, otherwise there will be no progression. You will be stuck where you are. So 99,
Also,
bring it under control.
it's difficult to survive without any ego. You need to correct. You need to manage it. Yes.
Correct.
What happens? Ego results in arrogance.
Correct. So arrogance also you require 1%. Otherwise you will not get that urge to progress.
But isn't it that discipline?
It's not discipline. Arrogance is, you can say it could be a flavor of discipline, but it is not. What we are meaning here is very different. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are 2 more messages.
Okay. It's already 11:30 here.
No, it's almost 11 o'clock here.
Yeah.
Okay.
For us, yeah. For your
Yeah,
time,
10,
11 o'clock, your time, 11:30 morning.
Yeah, and again we have got a class at 7 o'clock in the morning India time.
Yes.
I have
Yeah.
7:30. I have to go pretty far tomorrow morning
Oh my God.
for a function.
I'm leaving for Nellore on the 11th morning.
I had to deal with Nellore district officers quite often. I don't know whether I told you I was Sriharikota handling all the alternative project. So Sulurpet was in the Nellore district.
Yeah, it's a part of the Nellore district.
Though Sriharikota was owned by ISRO, but it had connected to Sulurpeta. And
Correct.
Sulurpeta was coming in Nellore. So everything administration, I had to go there to meet the Nellore district officer. Yeah, I had a very, very,
In the
very.
early days.
Sir, it's recording.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
please.